Hi, this is John Doris, and head of Jerusalem Psychotherapist. This week's Torah and Psychology post, Parshas Netzavim-Vayeilech, is going to discuss ignoring and when it's perhaps appropriate and beneficial to ignore. Because we read at the end of Parshas Vayeilech that when the Bnei Yisrael they abandon the ways of the Torah, they misbehave, HaKadosh Baruch Hu responds by turning away his face. In other words, ignoring the Bnei Yisrael, ignoring their behavior. But the Psukim continue and say that the future generations will return again to the ways of the Torah and will return again to having a connection with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and the relationship will be reinstated. So what we see here actually is this hesteponim, this turning away of the face, is not a punitive act, it's not a punishment, it's not abandoning the Bnei Yisrael, but rather Kadosh Baruch Hu is using this hesteponim as an effective therapeutic tool to encourage the Bnei Yisrael to consider their ways, to consider their misbehavior, and to choose to correct their behavior and to return to a relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And obviously hesteponim, we know, is being used, appears, and as a concept is something which we are very familiar with in trying to understand the difficulties and the challenges that we face when we seemingly are suffering, and perhaps it's because of our averos, perhaps it's because we're not acting in the way that we should. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, seemingly we can understand, is turning his face away. Whether it's in the Psukim, all the way from in this week's Parsha, whether it's famously relating to the Purim story, whether it's in a commentaries and a way to conceptualize the Holocaust, hesteponim is a way for us to understand how HaKadosh Baruch Hu seemingly is still concerned and still wants to have a relationship with us, but has chosen to ignore our behavior, has chosen to ignore the misbehavior. And this, as we see, is an effective tool in order to help us to consider our ways, to consider teshuvah, and to return again to a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And if we look at this, obviously, as a relationship between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Bnei Yisrael, this is likened to the relationship of a parent with a child. And in parenting, there is this technique, that we understand as a parenting technique, also of ignoring. That obviously, as a parent, we want to give attention to our children. It is essential for their healthy development, for their functioning, that they know that their parent is there, giving them attention, but giving them the attention in the right way and at the right time. If a child is misbehaving, then we can say that it's actually counterproductive to give attention. If a child is seeking attention in the wrong way, and if a child receives attention from his parents for misbehavior, this actually encourages the misbehavior, and it encourages the child to continue with these acts, whether it's a rude way of speaking or behaving, or just it could be frustrating and irritating behavior towards the parents or towards siblings. A parent wants to try to, in a way, it can be very difficult, but find a way to be in a calm way and in a precise and accurate way to ignore the behavior. Obviously, a parent should try to explain. They can say that because of the behavior, that the child understands that because of their misbehavior, the parent is not giving attention, or the parent is going away and is going to be doing something else, and the parent is not doing it as a way of abandoning the child, as a punishment for the child. And certainly it doesn't help to give attention and give a long lecture to the child, to try to reprimand them and try to teach them a lesson. Sometimes it can be much more beneficial and effective to ignore. Hesteponim, the hesteponim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, can be used as a parenting tool as well for children in the right way and at the right time. To ignore misbehavior actually encourages teshuvah, actually encourages the child to change their ways and to correct their behavior, and the relationship obviously can be reinstated, or the relationship can flourish again, and the connection between the parent and the child can continue, and it can be a healthy relationship and a functioning relationship. And this is the challenge of parenting. The parent has to learn how to navigate the ups and downs, giving positive attention to good behavior and encouraging the behavior which they want to give a message to the child that this is the right way to act, and to give them the encouragement and compliments to try and reinforce the behavior, but at times they need to know how to ignore and when to ignore. So this usually is a better tool with younger children, maybe that aren't able to articulate themselves or don't have the cognitive ability to understand and process things in the same way. Sometimes it can be more effective for a child to understand that the parent is not giving them attention, or and sometimes as well, if it's just more minor misdemeanors, minor misbehavior, to not give it attention. But if it's a very serious misbehavior, or dangerous, violent actions, a parent obviously should not ignore that. And with older children as well, it can be more beneficial to actually try to help them, or older children or younger children that are having such intense emotions. In these situations, it might not be beneficial to ignore, but rather to try and find a way to sit down with the child in an appropriate way, in a calm environment, to try to work out what are these strong, overwhelming emotions that the child is experiencing, and try to help them to process it. So it's a difficult tool, it's a challenging, complex tool. It sounds simple to use this ignoring hesteponym technique, but it has to be used at the right time, in the right way, in an accurate, precise way for it to be effective. Have a great Shabbos. Keep well.